to the RunnerX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Hey there, welcome to Tough Love Tuesday. I'm your host, Coach Caroline. And today I'm going to talk about something that you're going to say you've heard before. And here's the thing. First off, when we listen to something, especially if it's a person lecturing to us or talking to us about a concept, whether we want to or not, we're not thinking really about what they're saying. We're thinking about ourselves. It's just human nature. We think about, yeah, but what about my hip? Or yeah, but what about my race? So every time you're listening to Valerie talk about how to pose, fall, pull, maybe you get onto her lives, maybe you try her drills, you're really only going to retain about 30%. And that includes if you actually come to a clinic, which is a 6-hour clinic, you're only going to remember about 30% of what she says, even if you're trying to listen intently. And then the next day after you sleep, you probably only retained about 10%. That's why as an educator and even as a marketer, you have to repeat yourself up to 7 to 12 times before somebody actually registers with what you're saying and connects with it. Now, this isn't just about marketing to you guys. It's really about educating you on how important your mindset is to what we're trying to teach here with running. Your thoughts before you go out and run, your thoughts that create your feelings of ugh, or this is going to be hard, makes me feel like I don't want to do this, are going to create the actions that are going to lead to injury and discontent and no joy in your running. So that being said, you're going to start hearing in these Tough Love Tuesdays, you're going to start noticing in Valerie's and my conversations on Friday that we're saying the same thing over and over again. And I want you to realize that it's because actually when you realize we've said that same thing before, that's a good sign. That means it's starting to register and you're ready to learn it. She and I talk about all the time that I've looked back through her content. She's been posting on Instagram since 2011. And I go back and I find her videos, and you'll notice some of them in her feed because I've been grabbing things from 2009, 2010, 2017. And what cracks me up is she's saying the same things. She's doing the same drills. She's reiterating the same self-care. And it's just over and over and over again. But we have to keep saying it in different ways because one, obviously the algorithm in the feed, you may not see it, so I need to keep posting it. But two, if she says it a different way, it might register with you now better than it did last time, right? You heard something last week or you listened last week and it just didn't register. And then you go back and either you re-listen to it or we say it a different way and suddenly, it's like a light bulb went off, okay? So that being said, I want you guys to start just taking it all in, listening to what we're saying. If it sounds like something you've heard before, listen again. Maybe it just means that the student is ready for the teacher. Maybe you weren't ready to really understand the concept of the timing of the pull. And now suddenly she says something that just resonates with you. Or maybe you didn't understand the idea of letting go when we're talking about falling. And now after like the fourth time, you know she's talking about falling, suddenly it clicks for you. It's those incremental changes, those repeated listenings to hearing the same thing over and over again that reinforce that good habit. And I'm going to finish this up by saying, remember when you were a kid and your parents wanted you to brush your teeth? They had to remind you all the time. You didn't wake up in the morning and they told you once when you were able to actually understand language, brush your teeth, let me show you how, and then suddenly you did it. They had to remind you when you got up in the morning, did you brush your teeth? Had to remind you at night before you went to bed, did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? Did you brush your teeth? And they had to do that for probably 10 to 12 years before they stopped having to remind you so much. And until finally at maybe 16, 17, 18, they didn't have to remind you at all. But they had to keep reminding you, had to keep putting it into your brain, had to keep reinforcing why you have to brush your teeth. And it wasn't until finally that you realized, oh, my teeth feel really good. And, I like having fresh breath, or I don't like smelling like the garlic pizza from the night before, that you started doing it yourself. So when you hear us talking about pose, fall, pull, it's about perception. It's about being aware of where you are in space. It's about understanding that as soon as you feel that foot touch the ground, you lift it back up. It's about falling and letting go. It's about falling from your core and holding your ears, shoulders, hips, and ankle in a line. It's all those things that we don't say. I'm not even going to say the words because we don't want them coming into your head. Okay? We don't want you thinking things like impact, reaching, and pushing. We want you to think things like, it's joyous, I'm letting go, I'm pulling, I'm light, I feel up. Okay? We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRx podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.